Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here, and welcome to my review for Kara Major episode 45, the series finale. And I thought it was a great finale. It wasn't like a huge, like, oh my god, amazing episode, or some kind of huge surprises at the end, but I thought it was a really good, really satisfying finale for the series. So when we left off, we're heading to the final battle against the Emperor, and basically they know that their plan to beat him is they need to smash his mask, but it's basically too hard to smash. Wait. Have Crunchyrolla basically telling them the only way to defeat him is if he takes off his mask, and the only time he takes off his mask is when he eats his enemies after he kills them, because that's just the way he operates. And during this, we get actually a little bit of his backstory. It's really funny, because I think in the last couple of reviews I mentioned how, you know, we're getting down to the wire, and we've just kind of gotten the general gist of Emperor Yudon, but not a whole lot, and I was like, I suppose they could answer it in the last few episodes, because Kara Major has been really good about answering questions about backstory and mythology, but I didn't necessarily expect them to, and I wasn't ready to be too upset if they didn't, but they actually did. They gave us more backstory on him, and apparently he was like born of the snake or snakes of despair or something, and he didn't start out as just this generic big bad that was just there. He essentially worked his way up to become stronger through absorbing other creatures and becoming more powerful, and the more powerful he became is when he split off into his personalities. That's when he split off Udana and the sniper guy. And that's interesting because I feel like that whole concept of the multiple personalities has flip-flopped in my perception multiple times since it's happened. At one point I thought they were his personalities, and then after the Garza stuff I thought that he could just absorb people, and then I thought it was both, but this officially clarifies it that I guess he can do both because he did that with Garza, but the original ones, Udana and the sniper guy, were aspects of his personality, and it turns out they were effectively invented kind of like a DID thing, like psychologically for a vacuum of the part of him that didn't want to be alone or lonely. Oddly enough, it reminded me a little bit of Lord Draken in the end of Shattered Grid when he was having regrets about not choosing to go with the team, but he felt like he couldn't go back. But I thought that was interesting, and I'll talk probably more about that in the series wrap-up, but I thought it was cool that they not only gave us an origin explanation, but a further clarification on that, and it was an interesting character beat that I think separated him from just being a generic big bad. But the point is, it kind of clarified that and showed us why, once he takes his mask off, he'll be defeatable. And effectively, the Rangers use illusion magic with the stones to trick him into thinking he's done destroyed them, and he takes off his mask to reveal this, like, discount, weird, predator-looking face. And then the Rangers reveal themselves, and, like, Silver smashes his face to the ground, basically, and gets him to go small. And then we do the final ground battle. And while they're charging up the arrow, Mabushina's kind of like talking about all the Rangers and all their strong qualities, and you kind of get a minute on each of them of like, you know, this is what they're about. And I thought it was a really nice moment. I think because of all the things I liked about the series, I think what this series was about was these characters and their connection and what they did together as Kara Majors. So it was a really just nice scene, like a really nice scene in general, but a nice finale scene sort of wrapping up what made each of their characters special while they're going through this final battle. And of course before that we got the helmetless roll call, and they even did Kara Major's obscure pose, which was nice. But then, you know, they finally defeat him, and the stones are there, and they all celebrate, and it's pretty much, you know, a bow tie on the end of the finale type finale. You know, it's very neatly wrapped up. Like I said, other than talking about Master Yudon's mythology, there wasn't any huge surprises or anything, not like I was expecting anything. And then we go 3 months later, and Kara Mayred has jumped the gun on the team-up here, and I can't believe it had the same final scene as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they all show up as like in a virtual conference, and they're all at different places, and they're talking about things, and apparently, you know, Crunchyrolla is just deciding to continue to create and not be evil, and he still has Muddies working for him, so I'm sure he'll show up in any future Returns movies or in the Ryusoulger vs. movie that was just announced and whatnot. And then they finally get in on the conference call Crystallia, which has been restored by the Garner Stones. This was the one weird thing, is I feel there was a lot of build up to that, and the way that was introduced was kind of weird, because I honestly thought we were going to see them wish it back and then do a time skip epilogue thing, but it was just weird that they kind of almost presented it like the Rangers didn't know, like, oh yeah, you used the Dragon Balls, huh? So that was a little bit weird. I think it was just about the editing, but basically they did restore the planet, and they're rebuilding, and Brahead is Queen Brahead now, and she's going to be ruling over them all as they sort of, you know, repair. And the Kara Majors see that they have Kara stones, literally Kara stones, made of them, like a Mount Rushmore of Kara Major in honor of them, and they kind of talk about how the Kara Majors gave them hope to what basically to aspire to. And then the last scene is, you know, we set up Drew's like in the little virtual reality thing. His little girlfriend shows up and like pulls in there and she's like, you're supposed to draw a cute drawing of me, but you drew this, and it's a Zenkaiger drawing. And I was like, oh boy. First I was like, get out of here, Zenkaiger, don't ruin this nice last Sentai moment. But then I thought, actually it's kind of a nice little teaser, it makes sense. You know, for what we just talked about with Karame Red. And it also reminded me of back for the small period of time when Rider would tee up their new series. I think there was the scene at the end of Double where the O-Metals were on Foundation X's screen, and there was a scene at the end of O's where you saw Kengo getting out in his school uniform, and it kind of reminded me of that. And it makes sense for them to tee that up since I'm going to assume they appear at the beginning of the series. Side note, I do want the Caramagers to appear, but I hope they appear later. They always have the most recent series appear first, and I don't have any time to miss them, even though I love them. But it was kind of a little teaser at the end, but then the notebook flows over to another picture. And I almost forgot, though, during their final meeting, they also answered the only other real lingering question, which is, effectively, why did Karame Red have all these abilities? Which, again, just the fact that they addressed it, I thought was great. It was almost like they were, in a meta way, that they were, like, realizing how good they were at answering questions, and there was this one lingering over. And this was maybe the only explanation I can think of in the series that was a bit of Toku nonsense, but it was effectively because Juru shared a dream at the same time as the king. So he connected them, and that's how they connected their gifts. So he's not secretly Crystallian or related to anybody. It was kind of funny though, because Drew was like, I thought there would be more to it, and then Shigeru was like, oh, it was just a coincidence, and it was kind of funny. It was almost played for laughs because they realized it was the last dangling thread, which, like, I don't necessarily mind. I'm mixed feelings on, like, what I would have necessarily wanted, but considering Karamager was so good about answering everything, and then they even answered that, I'm just happy that they even effectively answered the last two lingering bit of mysteries in the series. Even, like, I think that was the only one that was Toku nonsense. Because I've talked a lot in the past about how Karamager's really good at giving actual real answers instead of, your powers come from the Earth's hope and smiles, and children's smiles. Like, powers can't come from children's smiles, you're deranged. That was the only one that was a little nonsensy, but it didn't bother me that much because they at least addressed it, and they kind of acknowledged how funny it was in a way, and then it kind of led into him dreaming about the Zenkaigers. So, like I said at the beginning, I really did enjoy this finale. It wasn't like any huge knock you out of your seat or huge surprise finale, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very satisfying end to a really great Sentai series. I thought it very much wrapped up everything about the spirit of Karamager, and it was just kind of very emotionally satisfying. Even though it wasn't the perfect episode, because I feel like I don't give these out enough, I'm going to give this episode a 5 just because I thought it wrapped it up perfectly. I was very satisfied. I didn't feel like we were shortchanged. I didn't feel like there was any lingering questions. I mean, maybe there's something out there that I'm forgetting, but none of the major questions went left unanswered. I don't feel like there was very many plot holes. As I mentioned last week, despite them getting cut off by a few episodes, I didn't really feel like anything was too rushed or anything like that. Now, of course, I will be doing a series review. I'm hoping to get it out this week. I'm not sure. If not this week, next week for sure. It'll be in the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to be doing a series review with some more in-depth thoughts on things, so look forward to that. And of course, I will be covering Zenkaiger. But in case you do not watch the series finale, I just want to thank everybody who's watched these Karamager reviews throughout the year. I'll probably say something similar in the series review, but it's been really nice and refreshing. I've been reviewing Sentai episodes weekly, semi-weekly for, I think, since Zyuohger now, and Karamager has without question got the best response. I mean, they've never been my top performing videos, but they have not only the most consistent views, but the more consistent views, but more consistent comments and discussion and engagement, and people asking about the videos when I would skip a week or I was late or something, and it just felt like in general there was more of an interest in the series and the videos overall, and it made reviewing the series pretty much mostly week to week all year very enjoyable. One of the more enjoyable series I worked on this year. So maybe that'll continue into Zenkaiger, we'll see. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can catch my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.